You're listening to the Fun Never Ends podcast with Metalhead Nelson.
Welcome to the Fun Never Ends podcast. I am Metalhead Nelson, and with me, actually next to me, is Brutal Brent. Brutal Brent, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. Why don't you tell them where we're at? We're on the go.
You're literally, we're over here at the Honda Center. It's Saturday the 29th. We're here at the Honda Center for the OC Vibe Guitar Festival that's happening, and it's pretty much, you go through the main entrance of TCL entrance, walk through a bit, and short concourse. There's ESP is here, BC Rich, Ovation. There's Nux is here, great pedal company that we went to go look at it, and all the stuff. It's very interesting.
They have a lot of cool selection, but you kind of expect the level of nom or a mini nom, especially for a place like the Honda Center holding X amount of people. But it is about a quarter of nom.
Sounds more like a swap meet, no? But then it is buy, sell, vintage, new kind of thing.
You're not wrong. I mean, there's CD people here. I guess one person to be more accurate. And I feel like the name OC Vibe is actually, from what I found out, the fact that they're planning to turn this area into a whole, kind of like how they have the LA Live.
Exactly, because I remember reading an article. I actually read that on this morning, and by 2026, they're going to expand to get more entertainment, food, and all the fun stuff. So this is the first inaugural OC Vibe Guitar Festival event that they plan on bringing in each year.
The funny thing is, because I heard OC Vibe, I thought at first that was the name of this event, and I was just like, oh, well, if it has a name of something, it needs to be like Nom, and I should have done more research, because
it's actually put together by West Coast Guitar Shows, and they put 4 West Coast shows together each year.
Then how come this isn't more vendors? You would expect that, I guess, right?
For the first run, I mean, it works, but to my understanding, in my mind, when I saw out about this, I'm like, okay, I didn't think it was gonna be on the main concourse, but part of it, I thought it was gonna be on the main rink.
Mm-hmm.
But they got a big stage down there. It's cool to be able to go sit and watch the band. They've got Gregg Matt Bissonette, Dave Amato, Bruce Kulick, Philip Sayce. Right now, as we're watching on the screen, because we're not sitting down there, Gregg Bissonette's drumming, and his brother Matt Bissonette is on bass. It's a drum and bass clinic at the moment. But we'll take you around and go through all the vendors that are here.
As long as, should we do that? Is there very much of a difference to some degree? Well, I guess there's custom work versus just stock guitars and, general runs.
That's about it. Pedals, stock guitars. They even sell bodies so you can build your own guitars. Little t-shirts, CDs, vinyls. But was it worth it? In my mind, I felt like it was overhyped.
I agree. I thought that this was going to be something where, because the timeline, at least for us today, they say that it runs from 10 to 5. Should you be here that long? Realistically, no. I think we're going to make a little exit early, and it should have been more like a few-hour affair.
Well, they want to have it open to the general public so they can come and do that throughout the day. I mean, NAMM was like a freaking 4-day thing, minus the media day.
But I guess I was also expecting panels on certain types of guitar playing, guitar work as well. I don't think there's panels here or speakers.
No, not at this. This at NAMM, yes, but here this is a small little thing that it's the first run. I mean, for a first run, it's all right. It could have been a little bit better, but it's all. I think if it was how a NAMM show is run, but you have to have the drums, recording, keyboards, all that. There are some major manufacturers, but some small companies as well, but straps and all that.
Question: do you think it was worth the money?
It was a $20 plus. Buying it at Ticketmaster, they charge you that $5, so it's $25. Reality, I think this would have been more of a $10 event, to be honest with you. So max 15, but as far as 20, not really. What do you think?
I totally agree. I'm thinking about the $10 mark because of the level of who they have playing on the stage throughout the day, at least. And, BC Rich, as you said, Nux Pedals. That makes sense. But I'm wondering if that was just them getting a sponsorship and reaching out to them, or them having to pay for a booth here. And that's my question to you. If these vendors have to pay for a booth, do you think that should be a lower price than for the average goer?
I think they do, because I remember seeing on the site, if you wanted to be a vendor, you had to contact so-and-so.
That $10 mark then, where I would want the artist to get paid, and that's really...
I would think that's where the artist amount would come into play, because it's $20, and they gotta pay these guys. So I don't know if they already have, like, what I read, they're like a $4 billion company or something. If I'm not mistaken, OC5, what I read this morning, let me pull this up right now. You can hear all the ambiance in the background from the drums. But this company, yeah, OC Vibe is this is coming off of OC Music News, and I quote, OC Vibe is an incredible $4 billion, quote-unquote, mixed-use entertainment district. Phase 1 scheduled to open in 2026.
That is because OC Vibe is the name of what they're trying to turn this area, like LA Live is. Yeah. So I guess that's different, and they use that name to kind of make this event sound more grand than it is, at least in my opinion. Because when you showed it to me, I was just like, oh, this is going to be lit. This is going to be tons of vendors. It's going to be probably going around the whole circle of the Honda Center.
I thought it was going to be in the bowl. I thought it was going to be, like, huge, but it's more like very, how should I say, swap meet-ish?
I thought it was going to be like a trade show.
Yeah, it's not much of a trade show.
It's... do you think that there is an OC vibe going on, or is it an OC drive?
I would say, I don't think it was like very well marketed, in my opinion, because it was more social. I found it out through social media. I found out through, because Honda Center has it up. Certain people have it up, but it's not like to the point where it's like big.
And I'm wondering why that might be. Why would they use the name OC Vibe, which makes it sound like something, but go through very minimal marketing?
Well, that one would go through, because as I came through the train, they do have OC Vibe through over there at the Arctic. They're like they have like, I guess they're doing stuff over there as well, because there's sections off for like interviews and stuff like that. But yeah, I guess they use the name OC Vibe because it's a company that they're gonna run with. But as far as Guitar Festival, it's put on by West Coast Guitar Shows. So
I think it's because the OC Vibe is they're trying to give that LA Live type name, which has that whole like, oh, there's the Microsoft area, there's the outside, there's all these restaurants. So when one thinks of that, they think of, oh, this is going to be a sprawling event. And then Guitar Festival, you think, oh, there's going to be a bunch of vendors. Festival. Maybe that's where my, misnomer is on that, is the fact that it's OC Vibe, then Festival ending at the end. Does this have Festival to you?
festival vibe would be more the music side, more of the music lineup. That's as festival as it gets. This is kind of, on my side, it's kind of a disappointment. On the merchandise side, I mean, it is the first inaugural event, but it's not what I expected. I don't know. I had high expectations. Did you?
100%. As I said, I was expecting more of a mini nom. I was expecting, it's at the Honda Center. They will probably be making use of as much space as possible. It's the inaugural event. Wouldn't you want to start off with a big bang?
Of course. If you're going to put a show on like the first time around, you want to do it like big. But it's not as big. We came in here, we walked, and hey, it stopped right here. Let's walk to the other side. It stopped right here. Okay. Let's just go and chill by the inside and watch the band play. And it was nice to actually sit like where the penalty box is, without having to pay for it, right?
I would say that, and I mean, did it get us out of the house? Yes. Did it make for a live podcast? Yes. So, I mean, we're making more out of it than it really is. Granted,
when we showed up, I had an issue with my camera. The grip didn't want to work. The battery pack didn't want to work, so that was like shit out of luck on the DSLR part. But at least the mic, this Zoom H5 actually works pretty well.
I was gonna say, would you really want to make a video of this now, seeing how small it is?
Well, I want to show the people actually what they're seeing, what there is. Make a small video just to make the rounds. I mean, I'll put it on the YouTube in the link in the description, and you guys can see what for yourself. We'll just make a round and play a little bit of ambiance music over it, and you can see for yourself. Or we could put it on as a reel on Instagram on my Metalhead Nelson one. But it'll be up. You'll see in the link in the description of the video that we'll show you.
You'll be doing more marketing for the OC Vibe Guitar Festival than they did.
No kidding. But yeah, we'll make our rounds, and this is the first time we're actually doing this in person.
I do have another question. Do you think that this is more bluesy oriented based off of the type of licks and riffs you're hearing, or is it more for the rockers?
Combination of both. But there's no like metal-ish. But it depends on what kind of player you are. But it's more geared like bluesy rock people. So, but it's good. On my take.
I agree with that as well. Definitely not. Because I unfortunately come from the more extreme metal field, so there isn't much of that in my regard. But that's a very niche area, which somehow it made its way to Nom. I guess just through the types of labels that get sponsorship from ESP, through Gibson, through Ibanez,
Jackson too.
Very much.
And Dean.
Very much so. So I guess because this being without those types of sponsorships and vendors,
Well, remember, ESP is here. BC Rich is here.
Oh, yeah.
ESP is here, but they're really small. PRS is here, too. So, but I think Takamine is here. There's a couple of the ones that are here, but it's not like, whoa, you gotta check this out. So...
it's kind of, here's some guitar, they're $100 off, yay.
The pedals, the guy over at Nooks actually had like some good pricing on pedals. For street price, and he was willing to knock some stuff off, but as far as having the money to spend, not really.
I think that's another question I asked you earlier off mic, was just is it also bad timing on the part of the festival that's at the end of the month, or is it bad timing on our part because of our spending habits?
Probably bad on our part, so can't really have the money. Well, we don't really have the money until payday, but
I blame my bank. They're the ones who hold my money, and they should tell me to not spend it.
Honestly, the wife would kill me if I bought another guitar right now. But I don't. Honestly, I just need my Kramer Beretta Special. That's it. I just invested in that Positive Grid Spark Go, that little amp. I mean, it does so much that I can just use my tablet and run how many pedals, how many amps, and such. I honestly don't really need anything else. I can plug it into like a speaker or run it through a board, and there it is. Use it for recording. So
I just use a mini practice amp, and if I want to record anything, I'll just use GarageBand afterwards, and I'll add in effects that way. And is it a little janky? Yes. Does it work? It saves me money. That's all I can say.
do you have an interface that you use?
No. I wish. I probably should try to find like free versions that are pirated, just because I want to be able to record more like garage. You know the genre shoegaze, where it's like My Bloody Valentine and stuff. That's the kind of stuff that I like to play, just where it's like a wall of sound guitar-wise, and just lots of reverb and chorus. Never able to make it just sound as what I want.
You should look into like maybe if you have like a decent multi-effects pedal.
No, that I've been using the GarageBand chorus and reverb and trying to just write down the certain levels that I keep it at. They have decent chorus and reverb built into it. It's just not the same as what an actual pedal does, or even a looper in regards to layering.
I would highly recommend even a small, inexpensive pedal board, and maybe a inexpensive audio interface, like a Behringer or something just a Tascam or something. Even this handheld kind of thing, something that just to get you off the ground, just to make it easy.
I did have a Boss Effects pedal with as everything I could think built in, where it could sound like a keyboard if I wanted it to. It could sound like a violin if I wanted it to.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
And I had to sell it because I needed the money. But I wish I had it now, because it had a great looper and everything, and I was able to actually layer the different parts, or even reverse the guitar parts at times, so that I can have one guitar doing reverse. At least for shoegaze, if you like My Bloody Valentine type stuff, it basically sounds like you're playing a vacuum cleaner through your guitar.
I remember seeing something that had kind of a reverse thing. It was some kind of pedal, but I never came across it again. I don't think it really made it.
It's very niche. I mean, what I like about those types of bands and those types of shoegaze, of looking at your shoes because you're pressing so many pedals, is just the fact that the chords that they're actually playing behind that are so beautiful that once you actually play it without any pedals, you're just like, oh yeah, I forget that I'm actually playing real chord progressions and scales.
Now I know why it's called shoegaze, because you're looking at your feet when you're tapping on the pedals.
Wait, you didn't know that?
I didn't know. I do now.
Many people don't know. They think that's because it's so drony music. We're just like wee woo, wee woo, or just so ambient that you're just kind of looking down and vibing. No, it's just because you're pressing so many pedals to make it sound like your guitar is a laser beam.
Pretty much, I don't even do single pedals anymore. It's too expensive. Go with multi-effects, or just, as much as I love analog pedals, it's expensive. I don't have that kind of money. Just put it all on one multi-effects, give me a couple options, and go through my Zoom pedal that I have, and just chain it through and go from there.
I don't know of any band that does that either. Even with the headstocks nowadays, everyone gets a PV, a 5150, where it has a built-in gain that's just ridiculous now, because they don't want to have to just do. And then they have a chorus or some kind of vibe shifter or something,
or kind of like a digital EQ in the back to run it through, or the multi-effect, the effects loop.
Exactly, especially bands that play with one guitar, but they need to sound like two. They need to have that kind of presence where it goes through more than their amp to the other side of the stage, which
kind of like a rotary effect going back and forth.
exactly. And it boggles my mind how bands are able to do that, where they're playing the guitar or the rhythm and the lead at the same time just by switching off through the pedals. Have you seen that recently?
Not as of late. But I know of like certain people like on YouTube this guy, this name like Das something. I think he's like a Lithuanian guy. He's out in LA now, somewhere in like probably like Santa Monica, and he's like a one-person band and he does jams. I don't know if you've seen it.
I have, because it comes up on my TikTok often, which that's the type of musicality that comes up is anything from electronic to death metal lately, and that's another story. But I will say my favorite band, Converge, they're one guitar, but when it's like that type of mathcore where it's very technical but it needs to be heavy as well, it blows my mind how one guitar can do all that. Or even Napalm Death, they're only one guitar.
Yeah, usually with one guitar, if you really have to, like, I've had friends that were in bands, and you do like kind of like a stereo effect, run your head to like another amp and then run it to another one, having the stereo effect if you're just the one guitar guy.
That's what I've been seeing more often lately, because it's either they don't have any friends that are able to play second guitar, or in many other cases I've seen the bass become more playing chords in metal even.
Yeah, you have that overdrive effect, just drive it and let it go.
That, or they're just using the HM2, so it sounds like chainsaws either way.
Why don't you just take a drill and put it towards the pedal and let it like how Eddie Van Halen would do it?
Because then you're getting more into the shoegaze territory.
Well, that's true. That's very true. Or just have a little recorder, have it recorded, and just play it through the pickup.
I do have a question. What's your favorite type of tone for guitar? I would say one of my favorites would be like the Dinosaur Jr. kind of noise rock guitar, jangly, if you will, that the 90s had. It's not really grungy, but it is, where it's would you say it's more crunch than anything?
More crunch. I've listened to Dinosaur Jr. like maybe like once or twice, just because they did a Kiss cover on an album called Kiss My Ass, but that sound is more like, it sounds more like kind of like a little bit dark. My kind of tonality is more like 70s 80s arena rock kind of thing, hard rock, even the 80s shredder vibe, arena rock if you will, but that's my kind of favorite tone. Bass-wise, I always have it on like maybe at 4 o'clock, maybe 4 or 3 o'clock, but the mids and the treb are always on like 7, 8.
Sorry, my eyes just lit up because it reminds me of one band that I think I have forgotten to show you, called White Reaper.
You'll have to show me that in a little while.
Do you like Thin Lizzy? Do you like Kiss?
Oh yeah, of course.
Do you like punk rock?
Does this tattoo of Ace Frehley on my arm tell you I like Kiss or not?
Then you will love this band White Reaper, who, strangely enough, they're one of few punk bands that has gotten a Taco Bell commercial recently.
That is interesting.
This is a strange segment, but someone from Taco Bell seems to be very invested in the hardcore scene. Turnstile got a commercial. White Reaper.
I'm not sure if they still work for Taco Bell, but it sounds like the guys from, I think, one of the guys from the Metallica tribute, Damage Inc., is part of Taco Bell Corporation or Irvine.
That would make sense now, because I know that even Metallica and part of that, their whole thing, they're reaching out to smaller bands now on the 72 Seasons tour.
So for that, okay, so there's Metallica, and then wherever Metallica plays, there's 4 tribute bands, Damaging being one, Motor Breath being another one, and I think there's a couple more, and then one like maybe local act that's playing in like the smaller venues on Metallica's day off. So you still get the Metallica with the tribute band, the authentic, well, quote unquote, what is it? They get the thumbs up from Metallica.
That, and at least in Texas, they're getting death metal bands like Creeping Death, Texas locals, Frozen Soul, another death metal band, and new, I think they're Century Media, they're Metal Blade, 200 Stab Wounds. So the fact that death metal is getting the co-sign from Metallica now, quite interesting.
Well, think about it. I mean, when they started, and then I'm sure a lot of them are like influenced by them as well.
Oh, 100%. If I were to play 200 Stab Wounds later on, you would see there's a bunch of thrash influence. It's just vocally death metal, which...
Yeah, that's true.
It was one of those things where once I saw that poster and I listened to them again, I'm just like, wait, this is just Metallica with vocals are just like...
I don't know how I feel about I think the tour that they have is with what is it? I know Mammoth WVH was one, and then Five Finger Death Punch.
Baby Metal was Baby Metal.
No, I think it was Pantera.
Yeah.
I know that it's a celebration of Pantera music, but I don't know. It doesn't feel right with only just Rex there.
Fuck Phil Anselmo. He's a racist piece of shit.
I don't know about that. I'm keeping that on here.
He's done Nazi salutes and everything of shit like that. So fuck Phil Anselmo. He's a racist piece of shit.
All right, that took a weird turn.
You didn't know that he's...
I know that. I just try to keep it off the air.
Apologies. This could be edited out in post-production.
It won't get posted anytime today, so we're good.
Well, also, it shows that Fun Never Ends stands for something. Racism is not okay with us.
Absolutely not.
So, at least there's a message to be found in this episode. Above all.
Yeah, and above all, this is a swap meet, pretty much.
Above all, don't pay $20 for something that you think has a nice name because it sounds cool and it has the word vibe in it, because the vibes were off. Very off. So we're gonna call this a day. Hey, anything else you would like to add, Brutal Brett? $8 for water is preposterous. Yeah, I'm sure you had to spend extra money on gas to get down here. $15, but at least I get to hang out with you, and I consider that a win. Same, we don't get to really hang out much. We see each other one day a week at work, pretty much. But this is cool, man. And us at work is, there's a different mindset that you have. Oh yeah, definitely. Everybody's got a different mindset to work. Come on. So... have you heard of the show Severance? It's about, the premise is basically, once you show up into work and the doors close, you're your work persona only. You don't remember the outside world, only your work. Reminds me of a SpongeBob episode where they tell him forget everything by fine dining. What's his name? We threw out his name. Well, it is like that, but once you leave the office, you would just be your personal self. So imagine, so that's kind of what I am, more or less, there. Just because I'm just like, I don't know, my interests are so niche that when I'm at work, it's just like, what are you into? I'm just like, I'm into fucking shit that you guys will think is weird because it's very online. And oh yeah, big time. So. Alright, well, that'll do it for us here, Fun Never Ends Podcast. Find us at funneverendspodcast.com. There may be a new website in coming days, but the site might be down because I gotta switch everything over. Podpage wants to start charging, but I found a Supa page, but I gotta move everything over, and it's a pain in the butt to do on the phone. Wix is free, my friend, so if anything, try Wix.
I do have a Wix site, but trying to do that on my phone it takes a bit. I mean, I could do it on the website, but certain stuff, it's confusing.
So you're doing it for the convenience. That makes sense. Well, either way, free fun never ends. Let us be the right to party and keep your OC vibes.
That's why we kind of switched from Spreaker to Anchor, which is now Spotify for podcasters. It's free. Come on. Plus, we got bills to pay.
Which sounds better, Anchor or Spotify for podcasters?
That's a good question. I don't know. That must be a hook.
It was, just because I'm so used to hearing the Anchor ads that once it became Spotify for podcasters, it just sounds like a mouthful.
Oh yeah, Anchor. There's the hook. That's the punchline. All right, that'll do it for us. Fun Nevers Podcast. Find us at funneverspodcast.com, as well as everywhere else you can find the podcast. For me and Brutal Brett, we're out. See ya.